This is Coach Lee, and in this video, I'm going to reveal some signs that show your ex is hurting. Take a quick second, click the subscribe button below so that you can be notified when I have more videos like this on relationships, breakups, marriage, mindfulness, and success in life. So do you want your ex to hurt? Well, you want them back, and you're looking to see if there's signs that they want that. And so it's more about signs that they are not liking being without you. But in this case, it's signs that they are hurting, and these are going to be some that at first might seem basic, but that there's an important reason I'm mentioning them, and I'm going to explain those as well. Sign number one that your ex is hurting is if they exaggerate their happiness on social media. So as far as you can tell on social media, your ex is just having a wonderful time. They are shutting the clubs down, and no one has ever partied so hard in all of existence. And seeing that's probably painful because it looks like now that they're free of you, they can finally have all this fun and fulfillment, and the party is just unending. But there's an interesting quote that William Shakespeare gives us: "You doth protest too much." It's an interesting little quote. And basically it means that if you have to loudly project something, and if you have to try to draw a lot of attention to it and talk about it way more than seems normal, that it's not true. And that can be the case if things just look so rosy for your ex that you can't stand it. It could very well be that they're putting on, and they're wanting you to even see that, which is interesting because if your ex still cares about what you think, that in itself is a sign that your ex is hurting and that they could be doubting the breakup. Doesn't mean things are going to happen tonight, but it could mean that the wheels are in motion and the earth is moving under your feet. Sometimes the key here is patience and staying in the moment. So let's get to the second sign that your ex is hurting. If your ex regresses to a negative behavior, so for example, let's say your ex had a drinking problem at one point, and during the relationship with you, they got much better with it. They didn't drink as much or as often, and they were doing better with their problem. And then, after breaking up with you, after a little bit of time, you find out that they have regressed and they are now drinking heavily again. Is that because they're trying to mask the pain of being without you? Maybe. It can also be that they're trying to find something, that they're trying to do something that they think is fun, that society says, if you do this, you're having a good time. Because there's a lot of peer pressure, even for adults, when it comes to drinking. Drink with me. Have a beer. It's as though they want you to join in what they're doing so that they feel like they're having fun. And there's a lot of that with your ex if they're showing you these amazing times on Facebook and you hear they're drinking again. Some of this could be for show, hoping you'll hear about it. Some of it could also be because they don't know what else to do and they're trying to do something where they feel like they're having fun. It's like that cliche question, are we having fun yet? But this could be a serious thing if your ex has regressed back to some negative thing that they overcame while they were with you because you two were good together and there was stability in their life and love, and they got better with it. If they have gone back to it, it could very well mean that they are searching for something and that something is you. This next sign that your ex is hurting is a really key one, and it's a terrific sign that they want to get back together, but it means that they are hurting. And that is if they are asking for the details of your life. For example, they're asking about how your pet's doing, how your job's going, how your parents are doing or family members, or about certain details of your life, or how you are doing with a certain issue maybe that you've been working through. At first, these seem just kind of basic, but if they ask about things that are current, so for example, they ask about how this week is going or the last month is going, things that would be normal for them to know if they were with you, it possibly and even likely means they're missing intimacy with you, because intimacy is when I can see into you, you can see into me, which if you hear the word there, into me, intimacy, you see how that works? And it's when you are naked, not just physically, but emotionally and intellectually in front of someone else where you're not hiding. And so you know the details, you know the facts and the feelings of their life. And that's what you want. That's what we all want, though some of us are scared of it. And if your ex is asking about that and trying to get some of that, to get some of those details, to stay in the know, they want to feel that again, most likely. They want to feel that intimacy, and they're missing it, and it hurts. It hurts to not have that anymore, and it's noticeable to them. And so while it's tricky to have some scale of is it hurt or is it just missing it or noticing it, it's leaning toward hurting, because if you're missing someone, it's actually emotionally a form of pain. And so if your ex is trying to get those details, they're trying to reclaim some of that intimacy with you, they're hurting. Another sign that your ex is hurting is that they volunteer that they miss you, but that it seems to stop there. And that's usually very frustrating, because I often get emails or comments on my channel that people will say, I don't understand. They say they miss me, or they ask me how it's going, and then it just kind of stops there. There's no offer or invitation for getting together. And that's very frustrating, obviously, because that's what you want. You want them to say, I miss you, so let's get together. I miss you by itself just seems to be empty, or at least missing half of the equation. But what could be going on is that, as I've said in other videos, your ex knows this took them a while to come to. It took them a while to get to the point where they said, I've got to break up with this person. And again, as I've mentioned before, to you, this is brand new. You're just blindsided by this, but they've been preparing for this, and you're just finding out about it. So even if your ex is feeling like they want to get back together with you, like they're thinking this was a terrible mistake, and even to the point where they want to tell you that they miss you. Now, sometimes that can be bait, where they just want you to take their hand and escort them back to the relief stage. And if you are subscribed to my channel, maybe you've seen my video, Stages Your Ex Goes Through During No Contact, and I talk about the relief stage and how in that stage, your ex doesn't experience the breakup, because for them, they can get you back at any second. They're the ones who broke up with you. You wanted to stay together. So your ex feels like this is totally within their control. They have the power. If they want you back, just takes a text or a phone call, and things are just like they were. So your ex has no fear, because it's the equivalent to being in Vegas and using someone else's money to gamble. You have nothing to lose. If somebody else is paying for it, what do you care, right? Your ex thinks you're paying for all the bills as far as this breakup goes, because they could get you back if they changed their mind. So what happens when that little reality changes to where they're not sure if they could get you back or not? Maybe you've moved on and they could reach a point where they want you back and couldn't get you back. So if they reach out and say, I miss you, be careful, because you could just simply give them an all expense paid trip back to the relief stage. You don't want to do that. So if you do get that I miss you text, don't fall all over yourself. I miss you too. This has been so difficult. I want you back. Easy there. You can say, I miss you too, but then you can add something like, but I hope everything else is going well, and back away. Let them sit there and read that text and say, well, what do you know about that? Because what they might expect you to do is to open the door into relief stage by saying, I miss you too. I want you back. Are you feeling any different? Could you get together with me? Would you like to get together and have coffee? Maybe we can have dinner. And you just go off on this proposal because you're so excited that they said that they missed you. So be careful with that. But at the same time, if they do say they miss you, it means they're feeling some of that pain. And the very fact that they don't pitch something else means they aren't sure. They don't want to lead you on and hurt you, because they realize that this was something that they wrestled with for a while. And so they want to feel this for a while to see if this is what they really want, if they really want to get back together with you. So oftentimes if they say, I miss you, it's really them saying, I hurt without you. They're not saying more than that. It's more of a statement where either they want you to make them feel better by assuring them they could get you back at any second that they wanted to. And if you don't do that, then you're actually going to help them move through those stages. Again, I'll link to that video in the description below. It's called Stages Your Ex Goes Through During No Contact. And I also have a video called The Dumper's Experience, which I will link to in the description below. And of course, I talk about this in detail in my emergency breakup kit. And I'll link to that information about that in the description below. The next sign that your ex is hurting is that when you are around them, that you notice they act a lot different. And a lot of times it's really silly. Like if they're not a silly person, they're usually a little more serious or a little more focused or a little more mature in the way they act. And now all of a sudden they're acting ridiculous. Like they're trying to make you pay attention, or they're trying to get you to see something and it doesn't even look like they're clear on what that is. And they seem to be all over the place. Like one minute they're laughing and happy like it's no big deal, and then they turn serious or angry or sad. But it's not necessarily about the breakup. Maybe they won't tell you about it, or they'll say, no, it's nothing. It's nothing. But this person just seems very different than you remember. That can be because they're hurting and they don't know how to act around you. They're fighting it a little bit. They're fighting it a lot. They are thinking, I want this person back, but they're frustrated because it took them a long time to come to this conclusion and they don't know what to do, which is very frustrating. They're confused. It's almost like they're saying, come on, life, you don't make any sense. What am I supposed to do with this? I thought I wanted the breakup and now it's like I don't. You can see where that would be really irritating, especially if this is a good person and they care about you and they don't want to hurt you, and they realized that they've hurt you, and now they're feeling like what they did was a terrible mistake, that it didn't have to happen. You can see where, if your ex is a good person, that's a painful, confusing, frustrating thing to go through. So, is it a good sign? Yes, it is. Does it mean that you should start professing love and give your ex an all-expense-paid trip back to the relief stage? No, it does not. No, it's not. Stay with me. Be careful. Take a second and click the subscribe button below so that you can be notified when I have more videos like this. So I'm going to give you a bonus sign that your ex is hurting. If your ex disappears and then contacts you and stays in contact with you for a few days and then disappears again. So it's where it kind of feels like, okay, so now we're in contact and I'm starting to see this is becoming a normal thing, and then poof, they disappear. This is an inner battle you're seeing, to where they don't like being out of touch with you. It hurts and they want to feel better about it. And so they reach back out and they find that comfort in your arms, even if it's just texting back and forth. But then they get frustrated because either they start to feel some of what they felt before in terms of that the relationship is over, that attraction is lower than it was. And what that means is that more time apart needs to happen, more silence needs to happen, because they've got to experience loss. They have to be able to reflect on when you were very attractive to them. And they have to watch themselves and experience themselves miss you and be able to observe that, remember that. And all these things and a lot of other things that I talk about in other videos and in the emergency breakup kit come to this point. It's like a combination of things that cause just the right amount of pain and regret for them and fear of loss. It's not just one thing. And so when they disappear, it's because they think they can, because they kind of get their feel of you. Then they go back and they're pulled back again because they realize they just can't make it without feeling that regret and that pain and missing you and missing the comfort in your arms. And it's important when this is going on that you don't initiate a text. You've got to let them, first of all, notice that you don't initiate a text, but also they have to be able to feel that you are slowly getting away, because each time that they stay away from you, first of all, it's going to become more difficult, but then it will become easier, especially if it seems like you are just simply available. And I don't mean that you should ignore them. I don't mean that you should tell them that they can't text you. And I don't mean that you should try to make it look like you're moving on with someone else. But what I am telling you to do is that you keep it casual and polite, and that at some point you suggest a face-to-face if they don't. Because if they just keep being able to have a little text conversation with you, a few days with some text to you, and then disappear, that happens more than 2 or 3 times, oftentimes it will start to become easier for them. This is one of the danger zones when your ex is contacting you during no contact, because it's doing its thing. But just like a fire, if there's not enough oxygen, even if there's a flame, it will slowly suffocate. And that's kind of what happens with no contact, is that you take away some of that bite that no contact can have, because they could just come and go as they please. And that's not always a good thing. So you need to go ahead and set that face-to-face up so that you can escalate this and so they can see you, which that's where you're able to be your most attractive self, because you can utilize all areas of attraction, physical, intellectual, and emotional. And that's where they can start to kind of feel like you two are a little bit of a couple again. They can remember some of those things. They can see your improvements. And there's a lot of other things that happen in a face-to-face that I don't have time to get into in this video, but just know that you do need to set that up. And I talk about a lot of this in more detail in the emergency breakup kit. And if you subscribe to my channel, I talk about it in other videos as well, and you can piece a lot of that together. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. You can always leave a comment, and I or my community will be able to talk to you some about what you're going through. Explore my channel for more videos on getting your ex back and relationships. This has been Coach Lee, and as always, thank you for watching.